You know, this channel's lucky because it has viewers that get so involved, both with feedback and with questions. I get lots of questions, and the most common is what's the best upgrade for my Walmart bike or big box bike? Or is there a good upgrade for insert whatever bike? Is there a best part to upgrade first? Can I change the fork? Which handlebar will work with my bike? Will different gears work? There's just so many, and they're all good questions, and this is the forum for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to generalize a bit and see if I can answer some of these by showing my approach for upgrading a big box bike, how I go about things. And I think I can answer that with my 5 upgrades for big box bikes, at least ones that I use. And my approach is somewhat systematic. First, I look to see if I can enhance my control of a big box bike because they often have narrow or small diameter handlebars. And I'm talking about big box mountain bikes here, so this is where I look first. I prefer a 31.8mm diameter and 720mm or wider bars. And my go-to bars are Jessica Ace kits. I like the profile, the size and color options, and I even dig the Jessica skull in the middle. Not only is the pricing good, but they're also durable. So they're a good affordable start to my upgrading. Of course, there are also other bars, even when shopping on the cheap, and recently I've also been using wake handlebars. Most recently on the Schwinn aluminum com. Now I haven't had wake handlebars on the trails yet, at least not to any extensive degree, but so far they're working out, at least for light use, and they're also available, like Jessica's, in multiple size and color options. Of course, there are all kinds of bars to choose from and at all different price points, making handlebars a good personalization option for a first upgrade. By the way, there are links to all the items I'm going to be talking about today down in the description if you want to check out the specs on them. Wake also makes stems that go with the bars, and if I'm going from a small diameter to a larger, I need a new stem. Wake stems are affordable too, and another way for me to colorize a bike. I've also had good luck with FOM-Tour Uno stems. They're great if I need to dial in reach because they have so many length options. I've also recently bought a few of these Bavel stems like I used on the aluminum comp. They're solid but heavy, though they are light on the wallet. So stems, like bars, a lot to choose from and a cheap buy-in, or I can step it up if I want to go brand name and really get carried away. After the bars and stems, I start looking at the fork, and even though it's the second thing on the list, it's always at the forefront of my mind because for the most part, most sub $350 big box bikes have, well, flexible forks, and not in a good way. And fork shopping can be a bit overwhelming because there are lots of options and it can get pricey quick. And the fork alone is usually the single largest investment that I make in my upgrades. Fortunately, it doesn't take much to dramatically increase the performance over the flimsy factory fork on most big box bikes. A Suntour XC series can be had for cheap, and in the case of a bike like say the Schwinn aluminum comp, a $55 fork can make a vast improvement for both casual riding and light trail use. Upgrades don't always have to be expensive to be better, but for my trail bikes I usually take it up a bit. Something I can confidently use on the rougher areas of the local trails, but also something as affordable as possible. Like the Suntour Pixon. Under 240 bucks, it can really keep things smooth up front and dial up the fun. For just a little bit more, there are even RockShox available. Performance and adding some brand recognition to the ride and maybe even a little respect. One thing to note is that when I'm shopping, I never go by the picture. I read the title and the description because I've been led astray before. Take this fork for instance. The picture shows a through axle tapered fork, but looking at the title, you can see that it's a 1 1/8" straight steer with a standard quick release. So I pay attention, and if you're shopping for a fork, I suggest you do too. Forks at number 2, that's a big deal, but it's only after I've selected a fork that I start looking at wheels. And recently, some big box bikes have decent double wall rims, but the hubs usually take a quick beating if ridden on a mountain bike trail. A new wheel set can take care of that, and thankfully there are affordable sets that are available that even come wrapped with tires. Some are even tubeless ready out of the box. That adds future upgradability to my already upgrades. Whenever I'm shopping for wheels, I always check that they have the mounts that I need, quick release or a through axle, and also that they have decent hubs, and that the disc mounts match my rotors. And since I'm upgrading, and since recently that's been with 1x11 drivetrains, I make sure that the wheels can accept an 11-speed cassette. If not in the title, I check the description. I also ensure that the set comes with quick release skewers. Most importantly with wheels, I shop around, because there are lots and lots of deals that are available and they change day to day. With the wheel set selected, I start thinking about the gearing and if I'm going to modify it, and if I've just bought a wheel set, then that's a sign the answer is yes. And that's number 4, the drivetrain. And for me, that's usually a 1x. I like the weight savings and the simplicity, it's just less to adjust. And with my discovery of Sky IXF cranksets, it's been a game changer for me. Super affordable, and the kit comes complete with an external bottom bracket. Tool required for assembly, but weight saving, simple setup, and cheap. These are a few of my favorite things. Color choice can add a little style too. The crankset needs one more part, and that's the chainring. And recently I've been using a snail chainring. I like ease, so I usually get a 30 tooth, and these are also cheap yet durable. And I can select different colors, which is another way to double down, style and function. That's the front. At the rear, I usually go with the SRAM NX because of the cost versus performance. I used to buy a complete group set, but then I found I could buy the parts separately and save quite a bit. Separately, it's under $200 for everything, including the chain. There's also Shimano SLX, and sometimes there are deals on 10-speed SLX setups, but I usually buy an NX. So that gets the group set complete, except for the pedals, and I lump the pedals in with my fifth and final stage of upgrades, my comfort upgrades. That's the saddle, the pedals, and the grips. Before I buy pedals, I'm usually thinking about the seat because a bad saddle can turn an otherwise fun ride into hours of misery that can be felt long afterwards. So what makes a good seat? Well, that varies from person to person. That's why there's so many different saddles. Probably more saddles available than any other bike component. But I found that most people agree that a gel saddle is usually comfortable, at least a good one. And they can get pricey, but recently I found these saddles. They're dirt cheap, and cheap usually means either bulbous and ugly or uncomfortable. This saddle bucks that trend. It feels good and it doesn't look bad. I put one of these on the aluminum comp and they sold out right after I uploaded the video before I could buy more. This time I ordered before uploading. Live and learn. Let me now get back to pedals, because they're the tried and trues like the race face Chesters, a staple of my cycling for the past few years, and not out of range pricey, but not cheap either. I've tried some alternatives like these Rock Bros, and they work great, but they're a bit bulkier than the Chesters, and I'm a Chester fan, so that's my comparison point. Then I discovered Fuker pedals. Total Chester knockoffs, I'll admit, but they're smooth, reliable, and super savings over race face. The name is funny sounding, but the local bike shop quit laughing when I brought some in and they saw them in person. And since then, I've started seeing them on other mountain bikes on the local trails. So Fukers are a legit deal. Half the price of a Chester, a quality pedal in my opinion. Before uploading, I bought more of these too. And the last component I look at is grips, and sometimes the factory grips on big box bikes can be surprisingly good, but in the upgrade cycle I usually go for something I've personally selected, or sometimes just take a chance on something new. Even though they're last year's grips, the first I usually look at are silicone foam, and ESI grips are the best in the category to me. And that brand also has plenty of color options. If all the upgrade and grip options ever get too overwhelming and I get confused, I can rest easy knowing that Rock Bros make something to keep things straight. No doubt what these are. Bike grips. This is so comical, I think I'm actually going to buy some. And that's how I approach big box bike upgrades, in 5 steps. It works for me, and I hope this video has given some insight to those that sent questions about upgrades. So comment below and let me know if this helped you out, or if you have a different plan or path to upgrades, please share it. Thanks so much for watching. Do the subscribe thing if you haven't already, and everyone make sure your notification bell is set so you get notified of new channel videos. Now I'm going to go install some upgrades. Have a great day.